And the book gives you a formula that you're welcome to use. But because I don't like to memorize formulas, I'm not going to teach you this one. I'm going to teach you just how to get there. So it's whatever floats your boat. You're welcome to use what the author uses. It will also work. There's actually several methods that work. I'm going to show you the method I was taught. It's the translation method. So here's the deal. When you deal with percent, if you have the word is, when you translate that, think equals. When you have the word of, you guys already know what of stands for. Multiply, okay. Equal to multiply. If you have what number, what's that going to make you think of? If I don't know the number, what shall I use to represent it? Sure, use some letter, X, or whatever else it is you want to use. X, I'll write variable. Is there anything else I should let you guys see? That's it. Oh yeah, the word percent. If you add the word percent, guess what symbol you're going to put there? Percent. Good. We are all together. Percent. Okay. This is a basic to using the percent. I'll let you adjust it in a sec. But for the of, what's of? Multiply. So we have 20% multiplied by what number? What are we going to use for what number? X or N or whatever it is you want to use. Is. What is? And then we have 30. Okay. Now we're about to do an operation with a percent sign. What shall we do to that percent? Yeah, get rid of it. I mean, even to use your calculator, you want to get rid of the percent so you can have a decimal to multiply by, right? Remember that? The percents don't do so well? Okay. So to get rid of a percent, remember you walk away 2 places. So what we really have here is the same thing, the same 2/10 times X is equal to 30. Good thing we just learned how to solve for X. If I want X by itself, what do I want to get rid of? Okay, 0.2. How's that attached? So multiply, opposite of multiply is, you got it. So let's divide by 0.2 on both sides. What's it equal to? You guys can use calculators or to do it by hand. Do you want me to do it by hand on the thing to show you? Or you guys got it under control? Under control? Okay. Remember, here, I'll show you. I can't take it. Okay, if you had 30 divided by 0.2, remember that this thing reads down. So when you write it, you're writing it to the left. 30 divided by 0.2. But when you do it, you have to adjust the decimal here and under here with this stuff. So we actually have 2 into 300, which you could probably do in your head. What is it? 150. Okay. So X is equal to 150. Can you check that? Sure. 20% of 150 is 30. Okay. Times 150 by 20% by 0.2. You should get a 30. Something else about a percent, just to give us some common sense grounds. A percent, I told you when I was teaching you that a percent is basically a fraction, right? It's a fraction over 100. Notice something for me. In this problem, if I fill in the what number, the words there, because we said that the number was now 150. You have 2 other numbers now in that statement, don't you? You have a 30 and a 150. A fraction part out of whole. So what would be the part between a 30 and a 150? Okay? So 30 over 150, what do I get? Make it a fraction. You might have just turned this one down. Say what? Okay. 0.2. That sounds right. Since 0.2 is the decimal that we got, right there, that's the same thing as saying 20%, isn't it? I just want you to notice that as far as the way percents work, they really are glorified fractions. So if you have two numbers and someone says find the percent, guess what? Make them into a fraction, then move your decimal. You don't have to do this equation stuff if you just remember that percents are fractions. I mean, now there are 50 fractions. So for example, when we were checking this, just to remember how percents worked, we said that 30 over 150, part out of the whole, was equal to 0.2. We don't see a percent there. But if I wanted to refer to it as a percent, what would I do to that decimal? Yeah, walk towards the percent 2 places. Because remember, percents, even though they are just fractions, they're fractions that are specific to dealing with hundreds, right? So moving it 2 places is how we add that 100 back into the idea here. Okay. That's just a thought bubble, because I've seen people before learn all these equations and then get to a hard problem and walk up and have trouble translating. But if they had just remembered the idea of a percent, they could have still winged it and gotten through the problem. So I just want you guys to see that, you know, that's how they relate. Let's try some more translation. I'm going to follow the author kind of with these. Well, let's see. Actually, I won't. I'll deviate some. Okay, so 24 is what percent? And guys, you might put a star by this one. This is going to be kind of your thought process has to be a little different with this one. Well, depending on how you look at it. 24 is what percent of 36? I already gave you a lesson that should make you be able to do this in your head in like 2 seconds. If you have two regular numbers and you're talking about percents, what are you going to be doing with them? Put them in a fraction? Yeah, I mean, percent is a fraction. So just FYI, common sense to the problem, we know that if we put 24 over 36, that's kind of important. That's probably the answer. Except that decimal would have to be moved 2 places to the right. Okay. But I'm still going to go through the translation with you, okay? Again, I'm not going to ever force you to translate if you can do it in your mind. The only thing in your mind to be careful of, if you're using the fact that a percent is a fraction, is to use the word with is over the word with of. If you're trying to use that, just for your information, okay? Because sometimes it might not always be that it's always the smaller over the bigger. Ratio is over of. But translating. So we have 24, I'm going to keep it. Is, what's that translate to? Equals. What? N or X, whichever one. You guys want to use N or X? X. Okay. Percent. Oh, percent sign. Of times and 36. Okay. To be able to solve it for X, well, the first thing you do is get rid of that stupid percent sign, don't you? I mean, if it were a number, how would you get rid of the percent? Yeah, you basically divide by 100. You move that decimal to get rid of it, right? Wait a sec. If I have an X, I don't even see a decimal. I can't move the decimal, can I? What we have to do in this situation is say, you know what? It is true that I want to be rid of that percent sign, but I can't do it yet. I will have to wait until the end to get rid of my percent sign. So what I'm going to do so that I can keep going is I'm going to say, you know what? Yes, we see you there, but I'm going to ignore you and put you in parentheses. I'm going to come back to this at the end and deal with it. So it's there. We're not forgetting about it, But because x is not a number, I cannot walk away from it two places like I usually would. In other words, if I ignore that percent for right now until the end, this is what I have. That's a multiply sign. Oh, you guys already knew this. I kind of cheated and told you the answer in the beginning, didn't I? To get x by itself, what do we do? Divide by 36. Same thing both sides. This is going to repeat. The reason I'm doing this is because I'm moving the decimal twice. So I'm going to move the decimal twice. So I get 66.6 repeating equals percent equals x. Or you could have put 66 and 2/3%. Remember, that's where you got the 6 from? Equals x percent. Both of those are okay with me. You did need to know at least the 66 part, though. Even though we know that 2/3 came from the original because it was a repeating number, we needed to have the whole number on there because we had to have the 0.666 because we had to move the decimal. Then you can add that fraction back in if you want. You see what I'm saying? Okay. Let's see. Then what's different types? Okay, let's do one more type of percent problem. So example. 72 is 18% of what number? Let's translate it. 72 translates to what? Equals. For the percent, let's go ahead and get rid of it. We're not going to use it in the math anyway. So walk that over twice. Translates to be multiplication. What number? We've been using x in this class. Okay. To get x by itself, I want to get rid of my 1800 of my 0.18. So it's attached to my multiply. Opposite of multiply is divide. Again, we've learned how to do it by hand, but you're welcome to use your calculator. What do we get? What is it? 400 even? And sure, you can check that. 72 divided by 400. Then move your decimal. Good. The only one that was tricky of all the translation ones, all the literal translation ones that we've seen, remember, was this one. If you write the percent beside the x, you got to deal with it later because you can't adjust the percent off of an x. All the other ones, though, they were pretty easy, weren't they? You actually took the words literally down. Then, of course, we talked about the common sense of it. If you want to just take it straight to fraction, the word or the number beside is over the number beside of, is over of, works out as that fraction that you'd need.